Hey there, YouTube. I've got a knife unboxing for you today. This is something I ordered months ago using the pre-order function on Knife Center, which will allow you to place an order for things that are not in stock, that they anticipate having in stock again eventually, things that have not been discontinued. Um, and this is a knife that has been out of stock everywhere for a few months, at least at all the U.S. retailers that I'm aware of. It's a knife that I have coveted for a long time and wanted in my collection, and so I'm excited that it's finally here. So let's unbox this thing and have a look. I'll unbox it today with a Kaiser Swags swayback. This is the Knife Center exclusive version in 4V. Okay. Wrapped up tight. Now, I ordered this back in, I think, like November or something, when they were doing a promo uh, where you could get one of these work sharp little tools as a freebie with orders over a certain dollar amount. It's got T6, T8, and T10 uh, bits that you can put into a little bit holder on here and use it as a driver for knife maintenance. And it's also got a diamond and a ceramic sharpening sharpening rod with, this is actually probably, I think, a 20-degree angle guide. So pretty useful little tool for knife maintenance. I'm glad to see that they remembered to include that, even though this is shipping quite a bit later than they were doing that promo. The promo was active when I bought the knife, when I placed the order. This is a little bit thicker box than most Spyderco boxes because this knife is a little bit bigger than most folding knives in the Spyderco lineup, at least in terms of girth. We'll take a look. It is the Vallotton Sub-Hilt. And it has some heft to it. I can tell already it's going to be one of those knives that you don't forget is in your pocket, because the size and weight of it remind you that it's there. Okay, we've got a little piece of plastic here, or a little sticker to keep the pocket clip from abrading the handle scale. Oh, there we go. All right. So this has got, in addition to the Spidey hole, it does have thumb studs, which work as stop pins to help secure the blade in the locked open position. And that really does seem rock solid. Got good contact there at the liner lock with the tang of the knife. You can see the phosphor bronze washers in the pivot assembly. This is milled out. It is drilled out a little bit to help reduce weight, but it's nevertheless quite a heavy knife. Got a compound grind on it. Got a hollow grind for most of the length of the blade, and then flat grind just at the tip. Creating a little bit more tip strength. Yeah, and it does seem pretty substantial out toward the tip. Although I think it would still be fine at piercing. This is an S30V, which, you know, a lot of people are unimpressed with S30V these days just because it's been around for a while. It remains a really excellent knife steel, and is tougher than a lot of the uh, options that have higher edge retention that have come out since then. I think on a knife of this size, I'd rather have S30V than S90V. Let's do some size comparisons. So here it is next to a PM2. You can see it's got just a little bit more edge than the PM2. And a pair of 3. Okay. So more substantial than either the PM2 or the pair of 3. Also, in the closed position, it's going to be larger than a PM2. And what about the height? Yeah, maybe about the same in terms of height across this dimension, but it is longer closed. So, and it also girthier than a PM2. So it's going to be definitely one that you notice in your pocket. If you're more familiar with Benchmade knives, here it is next to a Griptilian. Griptilian is not a small knife, but the Vallotton is a good bit longer in the closed position, and just huge difference compared to the bug out. Yeah, very totally different philosophy of design. You know, and these are all three of these are in S30V. Here's the bug out. Here's the Reptilian open. So this is called a sub-hilt fighter because it does have this finger groove pattern here where you end up having a locked-in grip. I'd say that's certainly more substantial in hand than the Griptilian. I do feel that pocket clip some. If I was going to improve the ergonomics of this knife, I might start with the pocket clip and replacing that with maybe a deep carry pocket clip that something like the Lynch Northwest pocket clip, which is going to give you a little bit more of a flat surface that doesn't rise up with this spoonbill. That's where I'm feeling it, and it's also going to position the pocket clip a little higher on the handle and turn it into a deep carry. It does feel like holding a fixed blade knife, other than the pocket clip. All right, so so far everything I've compared this knife to has been smaller. Let's have a look at some things that might be more comparable. If you were going to get into a large pocket knife category, how about a Benchmade Adamas, full-size Adamas? All right, that's a pretty reasonable comparison. The Adamas is a little taller at a couple of points, but not at the tallest point. and the blade is a little broader, but the grind is actually higher on the Vallotton, and with that hollow grind, it's going to be thinner behind the edge, so it'll probably be more efficient cutter, at least for some materials. Um, let's get this in the frame here so you can see the whole thing. All right, and the Spyderco side of things, here's the Manix. Ooh, excuse me. Here's the Manix 2XL. Similar overall length. The Manix 2XL has a lot more belly on the blade. It's not as straight as the Vallotton. And it's a full flat grind, so it's going to be a more efficient slicer. Although I bet the Vallotton is thinner behind the edge. I don't have a set of calipers here to test that right now, but just the fact that it's a hollow grind means it's probably going to be thinner right behind the edge, right there, than it would be on the Spyderco with its full flat grind. The Manix 2XL is going to offer some similar grip, and actually out of the box with the pocket knife, with the pocket clip that's provided, I'm going to say the Manix 2XL is actually a slightly more comfortable and more locked in grip. And I can tell you, even without weighing it, that the Vallotton weighs more than the Manix 2XL. And it weighs more than the Adamas. Noticeably more. So it is a big knife. It's also a gorgeous knife. Got those accents with the steel bolsters and the steel insert here separating the two different pieces of smooth G10. The knife that this most reminds me of in terms of its aesthetics actually is, at least in the Spyderco lineup, is the Tropen, which is, I realize, has a totally different blade shape, but it's about the same size, same steel, smooth G10, and contoured handles. Now, a lot of people don't like the Tropen because of the way the blade is visible there when the knife is closed, and potentially you could get your finger on there. I've heard a lot of people expressing concern about that. I haven't heard many people in actual carry scenarios say that they've hurt themselves on it, but I see the potential. These are both out of the Taichung, Taiwan factory, as are a lot of Spyderco's really high-end and attractive pocket knives. I like a lot of the stuff that's made in the Golden, Colorado Spyderco facility. I was just there recently visiting, and I still like a lot of the Seki City, Japan Spyderco knives, even though they are looking a little less sophisticated these days compared to some of the other options. But the Taichung, Taiwan plant, here's the Caribbean, which is also made in Taichung, is really making some of the most attractive knives in the Spyderco lineup these days. And the fit and finish is spectacular. Look, this is multiple layers of steel here. Look how tight the tolerances are. Everything fits together just perfectly. Right? Got those. Oh, I see. So the bolster, this is actually one piece and with a G10 inlay sitting on top of the steel liner. This is not a separate strip of steel here. This piece of steel is connected to this piece of steel with the G10 insert being just kind of notched in there. And as I said, one thing about this knife that I really appreciate right out of the box is the lockup is rock solid. There is no movement at all, no blade play whatsoever. Yeah. Uh, Really, they've got the liner lock right where it needs to be, uh, and with wear, that's still going to be locking up firmly. It's got room to move there with a little bit of wear and still be engaged. And the thumb studs interfacing as lock pins just gives this thing a tremendous amount of strength. So we've got the very strong lockup and a pretty robust tip. Um, I'm not somebody who knows a lot about knife fighting, but I think that the sort of tactical or fighting intentions of this knife are evident in its design. Um, Although I do think it would be a perfectly reasonable everyday carry knife, but for the weight and size. If you're okay with carrying a knife that weighs as much as this one does, which is more than the Adamas, uh, I think it would be an attractive everyday carry knife and one that you could have some pride in ownership. I think it's a little bit gentlemanly. You know, if you could wear this without damaging the pockets of your suit, I can see it being a gentleman's knife. It is larger than most executive knives, of course, um, but I think aesthetically, it has a look of refinement to it. And again, a lot of people turn their nose up at S30V, but it offers a really excellent balance of toughness and edge retention and stainlessness. Yes, there are things that have more edge retention available now, um, but usually at the sacrifice of some toughness. S30V is still, I think, a good choice for knives of this size. Okay, well, this is not a full review. This is just an unboxing and first impressions with some size comparisons. But there we go. I'm excited to have this knife in my collection finally. The Vallotton Sub-Hilt Fighter from Spyderco.